Whoa, this is like the new Doctor Strange, but actually good. Starting things off, I'm looking in a small round mirror and I can see a family of 3 having a nice time doing karaoke. Then boom, they disappear. A woman, Evelyn, enters a room and she seems stressed as hell. Then her husband, Waymond, comes in to stress her even more, but she doesn't have time for him. He's trying to talk to her, but she's all over the place trying to get stuff prepared for her father's party. Her husband is trying to calm her down and he's succeeding at first, but her father wakes up and she starts stressing again and leaves the room. The paper Waymond is holding turns out to be divorce papers. What a twist. Now we see a lady, Joy, lost in her laundry when her girlfriend, Becky, comes to smother her with kisses. Joy is the daughter of Evelyn and Waymond, and I don't think Evelyn likes Becky very much. Waymond is cool though. Joy and her mother are now walking around their laundromat talking about Becky. Evelyn insists she has no problem with Becky, but says her father, who they call Gong Gong, by the way, could die if he finds out that Joy is dating a girl. Joy wants to introduce Becky, whom she has been dating for 3 years now, to her granddad, but her mom thinks the time isn't right yet. Evelyn is still stressing about the party tonight, the business, and the auditor that just put a lien on their laundromat after 2 years of meetings. Meanwhile, her husband is in the CCTV screen dancing and doing backflips around the laundromat, basically just living his best life. She says she wonders how he would have survived without her, if only she knew. After that, we see Joy saying to Becky that her mother either allows Becky to come to the party and meets Gong Gong, who will get ashamed but get over it and die, or she doesn't allow Becky to come and Gong Gong still dies. Crazy statement to make about your own granddad, I know, but it gets even crazier because, unbeknownst to her, her mother and even father were listening to everything she said. She tries to cover up by saying it's a joke, but come on. Anyway, speak of the devil. The father comes out and is grumpily asking for his breakfast. Joy tries to use this opportunity to do the introductions, but her Chinese is not so good, so her mother steps in and introduces Becky as Joy's good friend. Joy doesn't like that, so she storms off. But like that was not enough, while Joy and Becky were about to drive off, Evelyn came to tell Joy to start eating healthier because she's getting fat. Read the room, or the car, or the outdoors, ma'am. Just read something. Of course, Joy doesn't say anything to her. She just drives off. They go their separate ways. Evelyn back to work and Joy crying while driving. Relatable. Okay, wait a minute. The movie is just now starting? As a matter of fact, it's part 1 that's just starting. Wow. Part 1 is everything. Waymond, Evelyn, and Gong Gong are entering a building where they're to meet their auditor for their appointment. And in the elevator, it looks like something just hit Waymond. He throws his head back and goes full CIA mode. He brings out an umbrella to block the CCTV camera and tells Evelyn she might be in grave danger. So he puts something like a headset in her ears and gives her instructions. The headset is connected to an app which starts taking her back to different memories in her life. When she was born, her first love, when she got married, when they first got the laundromat, when she got pregnant, when she had Joy, when Joy came of age, all that stuff. While she's going through all that, Waymond is writing instructions in a paper for her. He then tells her to follow the instructions once she's in her meeting. He warns her not to tell anybody about it, not even him, because he won't remember. He now throws his head forward. It's like nothing happened. They leave the elevator, and at the meeting, she's a little distracted reading the instructions her husband gave her. Anyway, the auditor finally gets her attention and is asking her how a karaoke machine constitutes a business expense in a laundromat, and she says it's cause she's a singer. Apparently, there are more problems like this which the auditor points out to them. Evelyn reclines in her seat to read the instructions again. She follows them to the last one, which tells her to press a green button on her headset. She does just that and something crazy happens. Something otherworldly is happening here, and you just have to watch it to understand. Anyway, her spirit is transported to the janitor's closet. Waymond is trying to stop her from freaking out. He tells her they're currently in the other universe, and the other universe people need her help to stop a great evil that has taken over the universe. They chose her because she's so incredibly good, and she'll bring about balance. From what I've seen so far, I'd honestly say you better keep searching. Her auditor calls her multiple times, so the conversation is broken, and she's brought back to our universe. The auditor is talking to them about their tax liability and a possible repossession of their laundromat. The auditor lady brags a little about how good at her job she is, before she indulges in a little mocking racism. Not cool. Other universe Waymond distracts her, and he's now touching her face and softly telling her that every disappointment and rejection has led her here. I guess he's not referring to the janitor's closet. He can't be. Anyway, she's now split between this universe and that universe. It's a little chaotic, honestly. In the other universe, the auditor breaks through the door and snaps Waymond's neck, then walks in, pulls out a pipe, and slaps Evelyn across the face with it. Whoa. She got her so clean that she felt it in the real universe. So Evelyn stands up, screams, and spins. Everybody in the office looks at her like she's insane. After seeing that, the auditor takes a drink from a juice box, takes a deep breath, and tells them they can leave. She basically gives them another chance. She repeats the words, last chance, and it's now resonating with Evelyn. As she wheels her further away, Waymond finds the paper where the instructions were written, and he runs to tell her he understands why she's been acting so strange. The twist here is, though, when he wrote the instructions in the elevator, he wrote it on the divorce papers he wanted to serve her, because that was the only paper at hand. So he now thinks she's acting strangely because she found out he wants a divorce. So, following one of Hollywood's favorite tropes, they are now talking about different things, but they think they're talking about the same thing. The auditor is now approaching them as they're about to enter the elevator, and seems Evelyn mixes up the universes in her head, because she went straight and and punched the lady in the face. Now, Wayman tells her he was talking about the content on the front of the paper, not the back. To be honest, I expected them to stretch this trope for much longer. I'm impressed. They're now having the divorce conversation in the wrongest of all places. You just committed a crime, folks. You should be running. In the middle of the divorce conversation, Wayman switches to his alter ego just as 4 security personnel come out of the elevator. He takes the headset from Evelyn and puts it on himself. He takes, is that gum or lip balm, puts it in his mouth, chews, and then transforms. He doesn't really transform, but it feels like he did. Next, he removes his bag to use as a weapon. He beats up these 4 trained security personnel in uniforms and with revolvers. To be fair, this Wayman was trained in a different universe, so you can say he has an unfair advantage. After having their butts beat, these security guys could have just walked away. You know, live to fight another day. But they came back for round 2. Wayman loads his bag with some stuff from a little aquarium and whoops them with it. They're flying all around the office now. Once he's done with security, he goes to Evelyn, who's still confusing the 2 Waymans. He reminds her that he's the Wayman from a different universe, and he tells her to come with him. She says no, but he's not taking no for an answer. Kind of based. He carries her away, and as they're moving, the universes switch. Now we're fully in the other universe. The auditor introduces the sovereign leader, Jobu Tupaki, to some people sitting on the floor. She comes out and goes through different people and eventually puts her finger on Evelyn's forehead, and it takes her to many versions of herself screaming, and it ends with her on the floor in baby's clothing. But it's not her she's looking for. It's her daughter, Joy. The power of the other universe reaches Joy at the bar she was at with Becky, and Joy just suddenly stands up and walks out. Meanwhile, her parents' pictures are on TV. They're wanted. You'd think they committed treason with the way their faces are being televised. Anyway, we're back in the building and everybody is running helter-skelter. Other universe Wayman gets Evelyn to a safe hiding place and he's now telling her more about his own universe. He tells her she can call him Alpha Wayman, since Alpha is the name of the universe. I must be in the Beta universe. He's telling her about verse jumping, which is the only way she can get out of the chaos in the office alive. Alpha Wayman then takes a gun from under the desk and throws it in his mouth. Very disgusting. Alpha Wayman is now helping Evelyn escape, and while they're moving, he's telling her that Jobu Tupaki is the enemy who is pretty much ruining the universe, and Evelyn is the only one who can save the world. More like the universe, actually. The auditor verse jumps and is now a different beast. She beats up Alpha Wayman and is now going for Evelyn. Wayman tells her she has to verse jump. She's never done this before, but with directions, she does it. She agrees it doesn't make any sense, but she does it. She verse jumps, but not to the right universe. Now she's in a van talking with her husband about the divorce, while also getting her butt beat by the auditor at the office. But she finally gets it right and connects with her kung fu self. Then she goes on to beat up the evil auditor in slow-mo. Neither she nor Wayman could believe what they had just seen. But after she's done with the auditor, she tells Wayman that she just saw her life without him and it was much better. That breaks his heart, but he quickly switches to Alpha Wayman, and they're back on the mission to take down Jobu. But before they continue, they grab a bite. While they're eating, Evelyn is getting nostalgic about that universe she just came from. She was a big celebrity there, and she's asking Alpha Wayman if she can go back. He shouts her back to reality and tells her those universes are just there for her to get special skills she needs. She can't let herself fall for the temptation to be sucked in there. If not, she could cause contradictions, chaos, and even her death. She doesn't understand, so he tells her about the time verse jumping fractured the mind of another lady. Now that lady feels everything everywhere all at once. Who's the lady? Her daughter is also the name of the movie. But does that stop Evelyn from being sucked into that universe again? No, she really loves it there, doesn't she? Anyway, this time she sees Wayman and they even talk. But while she's still in that other universe in her head, she's put in handcuffs by the cop in the real world. Alpha Wayman is trying to tell her to verse jump, but the cop stays him. But just as they're about to take Evelyn away, Joy comes in with her pet pig. Her mom yells at her, but here's the thing, that's not Joy, that's Jobu Tupaki. And when the cop tries to cuff her, she starts to show her powers. Incredible powers, might I add. She's clapping these officers and making it look like a fanfare. I mean, why are there confetti and these sussy things at the crime scene? Now Evelyn and Joy, or should I say Jobu, are about to go head to head. Evelyn is jumping through universes and she pees herself. Unfortunately, she lands in a universe where everyone has hot dogs for fingers. Apparently, a jump like that would fry most people, but she's built different. Now Jobu is talking to her quietly and she's helping her open her mind. They do something weird with both their hands and she can see some kind of crazy bagel. She's showing her all these things to tell her that nothing matters. She says, if nothing matters, then all the pain and guilt you feel for making nothing of your life goes away. Really profound and very encouraging words considering I haven't really made much of my life. All was calm until Jobu sang the words, sucked into a bagel, and boom, Gong Gong came full speed on his wheelchair and drove Jobu straight into the wall. He came back to meet Evelyn, who called him Papa, but he told her he's not her father. Apparently, this is Alpha Gong Gong, and he's fluent in English. He wakes Alpha Wayman up with the smell of his shoe, and if that's not the weirdest way to wake someone up, then I don't know what is. The three of them are now in a room, and Alpha Wayman is now trying to convince Alpha Gong Gong, and even Evelyn herself, that she is the one person who can stop Jobu. She doesn't believe she's all that, but Alpha Wayman said he has seen thousands of Evelyns, and he knows that this very version of her is the one. He says she's capable of anything because she's so bad at everything. Relatable. Never heard a backhanded compliment so good in my entire life. These alpha people really are something. They're truly alpha. Anyway, now Joy's knocking at the door asking for her mom and her dad. Alpha Wayman switches back to normal Wayman and he opens the door for Joy, Joy, who has absolutely no clue what is going on or even what she's doing in that building. But as soon as she enters the room, her mom ties her to a chair with tape and is explaining to them that Jobu took over Joy's body and blah 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 blah. Honestly, she's trying her best to explain the whole concept of the other universe to them, just as I've been trying to explain to you since the beginning of this video, so you can now see how hard it is for her. So give me some credit too. She even tries to liken it to Ratatouille, or Raka Kakuni as she calls it. They're laughing their asses off at her. Alpha Gong then calls Evelyn aside and hands her a knife to stab Joy with. His rationale is that this will give Jobu one less access into the universe. Of course, Evelyn can't get herself to do it, and he asks her how she expects to clap Jobu in every universe when she can't even clap her in one. She tells Gong she's your granddaughter, and although he looks a little remorseful, he says it's a necessary sacrifice and she must do it. She takes the knife now and is approaching Joy, who's on a call with Becky. Evelyn brings the knife close to Joy, but all she does is cut the tape. When he sees she's not about to clap Joy, Alpha Gong pulls out a rifle and points it at Evelyn, saying she's already under Jobu's spell. He's giving a little speech about how Evelyn herself created Jobu Tupaki by pushing Joy until she broke her. He's saying he must now stop Evelyn so she doesn't become like Jobu. After hearing that, Evelyn begins to do a weird dance. From the dance, she jumps, but before she does the most disgusting thing. She cleans Gong's nose and puts it in his mouth. Goodness gracious, I thought the under the table gum was the most disgusting thing I would see in this movie. She jumps into a universe where she's a cleaner and then back into this universe. Then she presses a button under the table, which opens a door. She then grabs a bottle, hits Alpha Gong's hand with it, and runs away with Joy and Wayman through that door. Now, Alpha Gong is giving instructions to the people of the Alphaverse to send every jumper to chase Evelyn and clap her. Now, we're seeing random people just do the downward nod and start marching towards the building. Anyway, the little family of three is reunited in a hideaway room, and Evelyn is finally having a heart-to-heart with her daughter about her feelings. It took you long enough, Mom. She's telling Joy that her feelings of sadness and whatnot are not really her fault. They're all the fault of, in her words, Juju Chewbacca. Now, what you're not going to do is bring Chewie into this. Come on now. Anyway, Evelyn is explaining that the only way she can defeat Jobu and save Joy is to become like Jobu herself. Alpha Gong hears that and yells to Evelyn that her daughter is beyond saving, and soon she will be too. He's now assembled a bunch of people in this room and is telling them to verse jump while he rolls away. They're each doing one weird stuff or another to activate their jump. Evelyn is also trying to activate her own jump now, while some gas is spreading in the room they're in. She jumps to a universe where she's singing in front of an audience, and while that version of her is singing, she comes out of the room to all those people fighting for the Alphaverse. And what does she do? She gives every one of them a good beatdown. I mean, she faltered for a second, but she still finished the job pretty cleanly after swallowing a little figurine and verse jumping again. It's a well choreographed and pretty entertaining fight, I must say. Her daughter and husband came out late, so they missed most of this interesting brawl. But as they're running out, one of Evelyn's customers from the laundromat tries to pick a fight with her. She's swinging her dog in the air like a cowboy, and she plans to use it as a weapon, but Evelyn traps it in the fridge. Now the customer is crying. What did you expect would happen? Anyway, Evelyn finishes a bottle of orange juice, which she took from the fridge in one gulp. With that, she verse jumps yet again and finishes up the poor dog this woman chose to weaponize. Then the woman herself, well, Evelyn has never won an easier fight. But then something happens. There's a dude from that other universe who comes to this universe to fight her. This is a much harder fight and surely much more entertaining, but Evelyn still beats him. Okay, nah, I'll be honest, this one was a draw. It would appear that they both lost their connection to the other universe, so they're sort of powerless now. They have to do something weird again to be able to verse jump, and what this lad thinks of is to use the other's award as a plug. Dude! Evelyn stops him, but while they're both on the floor struggling with each other, and Joy and Wayman are throwing suggestions of weird things to do, one of the security guys comes in wearing his birthday suit and jumps on the award thing, and boom, he verse jumps. That's one way to do it. Evelyn quickly takes Joy's suggestion and blows on the other guy's nose, and she too jumps. So it's her versus the security guy now. She manages to land him on the floor, but when she thought she was done, the other guy appears, and it's now 2 against 1. They had her in the first half, I won't lie, but Evelyn eventually outsmarted these 2 beta males in the Alpha universe. But before she even celebrates her victory, Alpha Gong appears and traps her in a corner. He's about to detonate a bomb and blow up both of them, but just at the last moment, a fly lands just beside her. She sniffs it, and that is weird enough to help reverse jump. Okay, that sniff is doing my head in, but moving on. She uses her pinkies to break free and push Alpha Gong away. Now more people are coming for her, but there's enough power in her pinkies now to beat every one of them. But right after that, Alpha Wayman is clamped by Jobu and he dies in Evelyn's arms. After he dies due to death, he then changes to the real Wayman. Now Evelyn is face to face with Jobu, but she just pukes and becomes unconscious. Jobu sees that and just walks away. I'm now seeing the credits. Oh, that's only the end for those at the cinema. Evelyn is now taking a trip through different universes. Hot Dog Fingers, Celebrity, Rakakaguni, all of it. We finally end up back where we started. Evelyn in her office before all the madness. Now, this is where part 2 starts. Everywhere. Evelyn is out in the laundromat now dressed for the party, and she meets Joy and Becky and confronts Joy as if she's talking to Jobu. Becky excuses them as they keep stepping backward into different universes. In one universe, they were in a prison. In another, they were literal sketches. In yet another, they were piñatas. Really strange universes these are. Jobu tells Evelyn she's like her, and then tells her to hit her. It does nothing to her. Wayman interrupts them, but they both send him out. Evelyn is now asking Jobu why she has been looking for her if she doesn't want to fight. So she invites her to sit on the crack of the couch, and they sink into another universe. In that one, Evelyn says she just wants her daughter, but Jobu says they're one and the same. Every version of Joy is Jobu Tupaki, she says while she hands her a book titled Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. I'm sure I've heard that title somewhere. They're now having a long conversation about different things. First about how she treats Joy, then about Joy's, bedtime preferences. They then uncovered the all-powerful bagel, and it's like something hits Evelyn. She's running through time and universes again. Now Jobu tells her she was never looking for her so she could clap her. She was only looking for someone who could see what she sees and feel what she feels. Then she gets a call from her auditor because she missed her appointment, and Evelyn just tells her to shut up. She tells her she doesn't matter. Nothing matters. She seems carefree now. She signs the divorce papers, after which the auditor comes into the laundromat with some officers to seize the property. Evelyn starts destroying the laundromat and then screams in all universes, and it goes on until we land in a desert with two rocks talking to each other. Apparently, this is a universe where conditions weren't right for life to form, but I think the makers of this film were just really high. It's in this universe that Evelyn apologizes to Joy. They're making jokes now. It's all cool. Now they're back in the bagel place, and Jobu says she built the bagel because she wanted to destroy herself, not everything. Back at the laundromat, Wayman negotiates with the auditor, and Evelyn is released and given an extra week. In one of the universes, the one where all the fights happen, Wayman is apologizing to everyone through tears because he feels like all this is his fault now. He begs them to be kind, but Evelyn says it's too late. Meanwhile, after a long speech, the successful Wayman says, in another life, he'd have loved just doing laundry and taxes with her. Then he leaves. In the laundromat, she goes in and hugs Wayman, and it's all cute, but Jobu drags her back to the bagel place. Evelyn leaves. They both now do something with their fingers, and then a huge bagel appears in that universe, and things are being sucked into it. Evelyn is now being restrained on the floor, and just when Alpha Auditor is about to clap her, we move back to the laundromat, and both women are now talking about divorce. She then stops Alpha Auditor from hitting her and gives her a hug in all the universes. Alpha Gong Gong orders men to shoot Evelyn, and they do, but it does nothing to her. She plucks a bullet from her head, and it turns into a plastic eye, which she then shoots back at everybody. Alpha Gong Gong says it's so stupid, and I agree. Wayman asks her what she's doing, and she says she's learning to fight like him. You know, with love instead of violence. She's basically solving the problems of all these people attacking her now. She apologizes to Rakakukuni Guy, and then gets on top of his shoulders to help him go rescue his raccoon. After all that, she stands up to her father, who's asking her to let Joy go. She replies saying she's not willing to let Joy go, the way he let her go. Then she takes Joy and introduces Becky to Gong Gong as her girlfriend. Joy tries to run away, but Evelyn goes and grabs her. And then that fight I have been waiting for all day eventually happens. Evelyn versus Joy, mother versus daughter. The fight happens in all universes, and it ends with Evelyn saying, "Stop calling me Evelyn, I am your mother." In the parking lot of the laundromat, they then have a heart-to-heart. Joy's asking her mother to let her go, because when they're together, it hurts both of them. There's a long pause, and then Evelyn says okay. She lets her go in all universes, but then she tells her to wait, and then tells her a bunch of things she has done that she doesn't like, including getting fat and not coming home often. And then she said it may not make sense, but she will always want to be here with her daughter. Joy then asks her if she'll just ignore everything else. She could literally be anything anywhere. Why here with her? Evelyn says she wants her anyway, and she'll always cherish time with her, no matter how little. Oh, that's sweet. They hug and make up. Everywhere else, everyone is hugging and making up too. And after a super long movie, they all live happily ever after. Oh wait, we're back at the office where we started with all the papers, and they're saying part 3 is about to start. Start! Oh my goodness, this movie is a never-ending loop. But to be fair, part 3 is really short. They all go to see the auditor as a family, and in the building is where we see Wayman and Evelyn kiss for the first time in this entire movie. The auditor says there's an improvement, and Evelyn gets lost in the beauty of everything, everywhere, all at once. Moral of the story? I'm just glad it's over.